I'm Samantha, 33 years old, and I've always thought my life as a preschool teacher was perfectly fulfilling. My husband Marcus builds beautiful furniture, and our kids Ethan and Lily fill our modest home with laughter. My sister Kimberly, though, she's always been the successful one. Corporate job, mansion, luxury cars. When she invited us for Christmas dinner at her estate, it felt like a chance to finally bridge our growing divide. Then came that phone call, her voice cold and clear. "Don't bring your family, they're low class and they're not on my level." My heart shattered in that moment. Before I share what happened next, drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from, and hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever had family make you feel not good enough. Growing up in a working-class neighborhood in Detroit shaped both Kimberly and me in vastly different ways. Our father Michael worked as a mechanic, his hands perpetually stained with grease, no matter how vigorously he scrubbed them before dinner. Mom, whose name was Rachel, served tables at the local diner, often coming home with aching feet, but never complaining. They instilled in us the importance of honest work and treating people with dignity regardless of their position in life. As children, Kimberly and I shared everything: a tiny bedroom with faded flowered wallpaper, hand-me-down clothes, and wild backyard adventures. She was 2 years older, but seemed decades ahead in ambition. While I was content building fairy houses from twigs and leaves, Kimberly created elaborate business schemes, selling lemonade with tiered pricing based on added amenities like extra ice or fancy paper straws. Even at age 10, she understood the concept of premium offerings. "Sammy," she'd say, using my childhood nickname, "you'll never get ahead by giving things away. People only value what costs them something." I admired her savvy but couldn't bring myself to charge the elderly Mr. Patterson extra just because he wanted his lemonade in a proper cup rather than a paper one. In high school, our paths diverged more noticeably. Kimberly became class president, founded the investment club, and strategically befriended the children of local business leaders. Her yearbook was filled with superlatives: most likely to succeed, best dressed, most ambitious. Meanwhile, I found my place in the art room and community service club. My achievements were quieter: organizing successful food drives, designing murals for elementary schools, connecting with the children no one else had patience for. Our parents loved us both, but I could miss how Dad's chest puffed with pride when introducing my daughter, the student body president, or how Mom prominently displayed Kimberly's academic awards. My art contest certificates and thank you letters from community organizations made it to the refrigerator, but rarely to the family brag book. "Your sister knows how to make something of herself," Dad would sometimes comment after Kimberly negotiated a later curfew by presenting a PowerPoint on responsible time management. "You could learn from her example, Samantha." What began as childhood admiration for my brilliant sister gradually transformed into a complex intimidation. Kimberly's orbit shone so brightly that I sometimes felt invisible standing beside her. Yet part of me still idolized her drive, her certainty, her unwillingness to settle. The summer before college, we took a rare sisters-only camping trip to Lake Michigan. Under stars brighter than possible in our city neighborhood, Kimberly confessed, "Sometimes I wish I could see the world like you do, Sammy. Everything's simple and beautiful. And sometimes I wish I had your confidence," I admitted. She squeezed my hand then, a moment of connection that became increasingly rare as adulthood pulled us in opposite directions. I held on to that memory during the growing silences that followed. Kimberly's acceptance to Princeton came with a prestigious scholarship, validating years of strategic academic planning. She double-majored in economics and business, interned at Fortune 500 companies each summer, and secured a coveted spot in Harvard's MBA program before she'd even finished undergraduate studies. Meanwhile, I attended Michigan State, discovered my passion for early childhood education, and found purpose in shaping young minds during my student teaching placements. At my college graduation, Kimberly arrived in a tailored suit, already emanating executive presence at 24. "Teaching? Really, Sam?" she asked, eyebrow arched as we posed for photos. "With your creative thinking, you could at least go into curriculum development." There's actually money there. I love being in the classroom, I explained. The moment when a child finally grasps something new, that light in their eyes, it's worth more than any paycheck. She smiled tightly. That's very noble. I just hope you've thought about retirement planning. 2 years later, Kimberly married Richard, a corporate attorney with family connections to the governor. Their wedding was featured in a regional lifestyle magazine, 12 bridesmaids in designer gowns, ice sculptures, and a guest list that read like a who's who of Midwestern business elite. I served as maid of honor, uncomfortable in the mandatory stilettos that Kimberly insisted matched her vision. Just lose 10 pounds before the fitting, she'd suggested casually over brunch. The dresses run small, and alterations would ruin the lines. I met Marcus that same year at a community center where I volunteered teaching art to underprivileged kids. He was there installing new bookshelves, his careful hands creating beauty from raw lumber. Unlike the aggressive confidence of Kimberly's social circle, Marcus listened more than he spoke. His quiet competence and genuine interest in my teaching stories were refreshing. When I brought him to Sunday dinner at our parents' house, Kimberly cornered me in the kitchen. A carpenter, Sam? Really? You could have at least found someone with a college degree. He has an associate's degree in fine woodworking and business management, I defended. And he's building his own company from scratch. That takes intelligence and dedication. Of course it does. She patted my shoulder condescendingly. I'm sure he's very good with his hands. As years passed, the contrast in our lives became more pronounced. Kimberly and Richard purchased a sprawling colonial in Bloomfield Hills, complete with indoor pool and guest house. Their vacation photos, skiing in Aspen, yachting in Greece, safari in Tanzania, populated my parents' mantle. They chose not to have children, Kimberly explaining that her career trajectory didn't allow for motherhood detours. Marcus and I bought a modest 3-bedroom in a family-friendly neighborhood. He converted the garage into a workshop where he crafted commissioned pieces, his reputation for quality growing steadily, if not spectacularly. Our home filled with his handiwork, dining table where homework and art projects flourished, reading nook with cleverly hidden storage, custom bunk beds that Ethan and Lily adored. What we lacked in square footage, we made up for in thoughtful spaces designed for actual living. Our communication dwindled to holiday cards and occasional strained phone calls. Each conversation seemed to include Kimberly's subtle jabs. Still at the same preschool? No interest in administration? Or Marcus should really look into luxury furniture markets. That's where the real clients are. I made efforts to maintain connection, sending photos of the children, inviting her to school performances, suggesting weekend visits. Kimberly usually declined citing work commitments, though her social media showed brunches and charity galas filling her weekends. When our parents died 3 years ago, Dad from sudden heart attack, Mom from stroke 6 months later, Kimberly efficiently handled funeral arrangements and legal matters. I'll take care of everything, she insisted. You've got your hands full with the children. Her competence was both relief and rebuke, highlighting again how she navigated adult challenges while I seemingly remained in the finger-paint sand story time realm of childhood. The loss left a void that should have drawn us closer. Instead, with our parents' mediating presence gone, we retreated further into our separate worlds. Occasional calls became our only connection, surface-level exchanges that never touched our growing emotional distance. The November email arrived unexpectedly in my inbox, subject line, Christmas plans. Kimberly's messages were typically brief and logistical, but this one contained an actual invitation. Richard and I would like to host you all for Christmas Day. The house is particularly festive this year after the renovation. Let me know if you can make it. K. I read it 3 times, searching for hidden meanings or reluctance. Finding none, I called Marcus at his workshop. Kim invited us for Christmas. All of us to her house, I said, disbelief evident. Really? His surprise matched mine. What brought this on? I don't know, but I think we should go. The kids have barely spent time with her, and maybe she's realizing family matters. Hope crept into my voice despite years of experience, suggesting caution. After dinner, I shared the news with Ethan and Lily. Their reactions were immediate and enthusiastic. "Aunt Kimberly's castle?" 8-year-old Ethan exclaimed. "Does she really have a movie theater inside?" "It's not exactly a castle," I laughed. "But yes, they have a media room. And a pool, though it might be too cold to use it in December." 5-year-old Lily twirled excitedly. "Can I bring my new dress with the sparkles? The one for special occasions?" "Absolutely. This is definitely special occasion worthy." Later, Marcus expressed reservations as we prepared for bed. "I'm glad you're excited, Sam, but maybe manage expectations? Your sister hasn't exactly been warm to us in the past. People change," I said, hoping rather than believing. Losing Mom and Dad might have made her realize what's important. Maybe this is her way of reaching out. The following weeks were filled with preparations. We visited Target to find gifts that wouldn't appear cheap against the backdrop of Kimberly's luxury, but wouldn't strain our holiday budget either. I selected a hand-blown glass vase that echoed Richard's art collection interests, while Marcus found a limited edition single malt scotch that Kimberly had once mentioned appreciating. For the children, choosing gifts for their aunt and uncle became a creative project. Ethan decided to paint a winter landscape, working diligently after school with his art teacher's guidance. Lily crafted a beaded bracelet with careful color coordination, restarting 3 times until satisfied with the pattern. "Do you think Aunt Kimberly will actually wear it?" she asked worriedly. "She'll love it because you made it just for her," I assured, silently promising myself to ensure Kimberly understood the bracelet's importance to Lily. I spent evenings baking our mother's recipes: cranberry orange bread, pecan snowball cookies, the cinnamon rolls that Christmas morning had always featured. The familiar scents brought bittersweet memories of holidays past when our family felt whole, before success and status created divides. "I'm making extra for Kimberly," I told Marcus while packaging cookies. "Remember how she always stole them from the cooling rack?" Mom would pretend to be annoyed but actually made extra knowing Kim would sneak them. The week before Christmas brought practical preparations. Haircuts for everyone, a new button-down shirt for Marcus that I assured him wasn't too formal, tights without runs for Lily. I found myself examining our family wardrobe with newly critical eyes, wondering if our best clothes were good enough for Kimberly's world. Should we practice which fork to use? I half-joked with Marcus, remembering Kimberly's pointed corrections at her wedding rehearsal dinner. "If she makes my children feel bad about table manners, we're leaving," he stated firmly. "She won't," I said, not entirely convinced. "But maybe a quick refresher on please and thank you. Elbows off the table." We turned dinner into etiquette games that week, awarding points for remembered manners and gentle reminders for forgotten ones. The children found it hilarious, unaware of my underlying anxiety. The night before Kimberly's call, we finished wrapping gifts at the kitchen table. Ethan carefully wrote gift tags in his best handwriting while Lily added stick-on bows to each package. "Tomorrow we'll load everything up," I said, mentally reviewing final details. "I've printed directions, though I'm sure Dad took us there a few times years ago." "I can't wait to see inside the big house," Ethan said. "Tyler at school didn't believe me that my aunt has an elevator inside her house. And a chandelier with a million sparkles," added Lily, who had created an elaborate mental image based on fragmented descriptions. "Just remember," Marcus said gently, "the best part of Christmas isn't big houses or fancy things. It's being together with people we love." I squeezed his hand gratefully, hoping desperately that tomorrow would strengthen rather than damage our family bonds. The next morning, I spread wrapping paper across our living room floor, finishing the last few gifts. Marcus had taken the kids to the bakery for hot chocolate, a tradition before any special outing. The house was quiet except for the Christmas playlist softly filling the space with familiar carols. When the phone rang, I answered without checking caller ID, assuming it was Marcus asking if we needed anything else from town. "Samantha? It's Kimberly." Her voice carried its usual efficient tone.
"Oi."
"We're so excited about tomorrow. The kids have been counting down the days." I tucked the phone against my shoulder, continuing to tape ribbon to a package. "That's actually why I'm calling. About final arrangements." There was a slight hesitation, unusual for my decisively spoken sister.
Sure.
What time should we arrive? I was thinking around 11 unless you prefer later. Here's the thing. Her voice shifted, taking on the clipped professional tone she used for difficult business calls. I've had some last-minute additions to the guest list. Richard's managing partner and his wife, plus the CFO of our biggest client account. Very important connections. That's fine. The kids will be on their best behavior, I promise. We've been practicing table manners all week. I laughed lightly, trying to ease the sudden tension I felt building. The silence stretched a beat too long before Kimberly spoke again. I think it would be better if you came alone, Samantha. My hands stilled on the gift. Alone? But it's Christmas. The whole point is family being together. These are extremely valuable business connections. Marcus wouldn't have anything in common with them, and children change the entire dynamic. Her voice cooled further. Let's be honest, Samantha. Don't bring your family, they're low class, and they're not on my level. Your husband works with his hands, and your children attend public school. These people are decision makers who could significantly impact Richard's partnership track and my next promotion. Blood rushed to my face, as if she'd physically slapped me. My throat tightened painfully. You're uninviting my husband and children from Christmas? I managed, voice barely audible. I'm being practical. You can still come. We can present you as my sister the educator that has a charitable ring these people appreciate. But Marcus with his working-class mannerisms and the children with their inevitable disruptions would be inappropriate for this gathering. Words failed me completely. In the background, Bing Crosby crooned about white Christmases while my world imploded. Samantha? Are you there? Kimberly's impatient tone snapped me back. I have to go, I whispered and hung up. I sat motionless among the scattered wrapping paper and ribbons, Kimberly's words replaying mercilessly. Low class. Not on her level. Inappropriate. Each repetition like another shard of glass in my heart. When tears finally came, they were silent but relentless. I moved mechanically, gathering gift-wrapping supplies, straightening the living room, erasing evidence of Christmas preparations that suddenly seemed foolish and naive. By the time Marcus returned with the children, I had composed my face into something resembling normalcy. Their cheeks were flushed from the cold, excitement radiating as they described the enormous gingerbread display at the bakery. They had a gingerbread mansion that looked just like Aunt Kimberly's house might look. Lily exclaimed, with sugar windows that light up. That sounds amazing, I managed, avoiding Marcus's increasingly concerned gaze. Is everything packed for tomorrow? He asked, clearly sensing something amiss. Let's talk about that later, I said meaningfully, nodding toward the children. That evening, after bedtime stories and tucking in, Marcus found me in our bathroom, finally allowing pent-up tears to fall. What happened? He asked, sitting beside me on the edge of the bathtub. I couldn't bear to repeat Kimberly's exact words. She uninvited you and the kids, I said finally. Some important business people are coming, and apparently we're not. Appropriate. His expression darkened. Not appropriate how exactly? Marcus, please. My voice broke. I can't repeat what she said. It would only make things worse. She can't just uninvite children from Christmas. What are we supposed to tell them? His voice rose slightly before he controlled himself, mindful of little ears down the hall. She said I could still come. Alone. The absurdity hit me fresh. And will you? His question held no judgment, only genuine inquiry. How could I? What kind of mother abandons her family on Christmas to sit with people who think they're too good for them? Fresh tears spilled. But the kids were so excited. I don't know how to tell them. Marcus pulled me against his chest, his heartbeat steady beneath my ear. We'll figure it out together. But one thing's certain. You're not going alone. Either we're all welcome, or none of us go. That night, lying sleepless beside Marcus's protective form, I mentally scrolled through years of subtle put-downs from Kimberly. The dismissive glance at my engagement ring when Marcus proposed with his grandmother's modest diamond. The backhanded compliments about how brave I was to shop at thrift stores. her surprise that Ethan showed actual talent in his artwork. Each memory reinforced the painful truth that my sister had been showing me exactly who she was for years. I just hadn't wanted to see it. Morning brought the challenge of explaining the change to Ethan and Lily. I settled on a simplified version of truth over outright lies. Aunt Kimberly called yesterday. I began over breakfast. There's been a change of plans. She's having some work friends over, so we won't be going to her house for Christmas after all. Lily's face crumpled immediately. But I was going to wear my sparkly dress, and I made her a special bracelet. I know, sweetie. You can wear your sparkly dress for our Christmas, and I'm sure Aunt Kimberly would still love to have your bracelet. We can mail it to her. The words tasted false. Ethan, more perceptive at 8, studied my face closely. Is Aunt Kimberly mad at us? Did we do something wrong? Absolutely not, Marcus answered firmly before I could respond. This is about grown-up issues that have nothing to do with you kids. Sometimes adults make complicated decisions that don't make sense. But it's not fair, Ethan persisted. Christmas is for families. That's what you always say, Mom. You're right, I admitted, throat tight. And our family will have a wonderful Christmas together right here. We'll make it special, in our own way. After the children left for their last day of school before break, my sadness transformed into something hotter and sharper. Every ornament on our tree, every holiday card on the mantel seemed to mock my naive belief that family bonds transcended differences in lifestyle or income. I've been such a fool, I told Marcus as he prepared to leave for his workshop. All these years thinking that underneath everything, she still cared about me, about us. But we're just an embarrassment to her. You're not a fool, he countered. You're someone who believes in the best of people, especially family. That's not foolish, it's beautiful. Kimberly's the one missing out. His words helped, but the hurt remained raw as I moved through household tasks, robotically folding laundry and preparing lunch. Memories ambushed me. Kimberly teaching me to ride a bike, defending me against neighborhood bullies, helping with science fair projects. Had that sister disappeared entirely? Or had she always viewed me through a lens of superiority? Even then, Christmas Eve arrived with forced cheer. We baked cookies, watched holiday movies, and maintained traditions while I struggled to keep pain from shadowing the children's experience. Just as we finished dinner, my phone rang with Kimberly's distinctive ringtone. I almost didn't answer, but something, perhaps last vestiges of hope, made me step into the hallway and accept the call. Hello. Samantha. I wanted to confirm whether you'll be joining us tomorrow. Alone as we discussed. Her tone suggested merely confirming a business appointment. The casual cruelty broke something inside me. Are you serious right now? You honestly think I'd abandon my family on Christmas to pretend I'm good enough for your important friends? There's no need for dramatics, she replied coolly. I'm offering you an elegant Christmas experience. The caterers are preparing a 7-course meal, and the networking opportunity could actually benefit your little school. My little school teaches children that everyone deserves dignity and respect, something you seem to have forgotten. I shot back, voice shaking. Marcus and my children aren't accessories I can check at the door to gain entry to your world. This attitude is exactly why I can't have them there. Your husband would probably discuss hammer types with our guests, and your children would disrupt the sophisticated atmosphere I've cultivated. My husband creates beauty with his hands while treating people with respect. My children understand kindness better than you do with all your degrees and designer clothes. Tears streamed down my face, but my voice grew stronger. You know what's actually low class, Kimberly? Judging people's worth by their income or job title instead of their character. I see you're determined to be difficult about this. Perhaps it's best we skip this year entirely then. Her dismissive tone suggested I was being unreasonable. There won't be a next year unless something fundamentally changes in how you view my family. We deserve better than your condescension. Fine. Enjoy your quaint little Christmas then. She hung up abruptly. I collapsed against the wall, phone clutched to my chest, sobs finally breaking free. That's how Marcus found me minutes later, curled into myself in the hallway. She called to see if I'd still come alone. I managed between gasps. Like it was the most reasonable request in the world. Marcus gathered me into his arms, the children quickly joining our huddle with worried expressions. "Group hug for mommy," he directed, and their small arms wrapped around whatever parts of me they could reach. "Why are you crying?" Lily asked, patting my hair. "Is it because we can't go to the big house?" "Sometimes even grown-ups get their feelings hurt," I explained, trying to smile through tears. "But having you all here makes everything better." "We don't need a fancy house," Ethan declared with the simple wisdom of childhood. "Our Christmas tree is prettier anyway. I bet Aunt Kimberly's doesn't have any handmade ornaments like ours." His innocent observation struck a profound chord. Our tree, adorned with years of school projects, salt dough creations, and handcrafted decorations, told our family story in a way no professionally designed display ever could. Christmas morning dawned bright and clear, sunlight reflecting off fresh snow that had fallen overnight. I awoke with puffy eyes but newfound resolve. Kimberly's rejection hurt deeply, but I refused to let it poison our holiday. While preparing cinnamon rolls, Mom's recipe that filled the kitchen with spicy sweetness, I made a decision. The children deserved an honest, age-appropriate explanation rather than vague excuses. Over breakfast, with Marcus's supportive presence beside me, I addressed Ethan and Lily directly. "I need to tell you something important about why we're not going to Aunt Kimberly's today," I began carefully. Sometimes people get confused about what makes someone special or important. They think things like big houses or expensive clothes matter more than being kind or loving. Aunt Kimberly is having trouble remembering what's truly important right now. "Is that why she didn't want us to come?" Ethan asked perceptively. I nodded, choosing honesty. "She has guests coming who she wants to impress, and she's worried our family isn't fancy enough." "But we're super fancy," Lily protested, gesturing to her Christmas pajamas covered in glittery reindeer. "The fanciest," Marcus agreed with a smile. "But true importance isn't about how things look on the outside. It's about how we treat people and the love we share." "So, what are we going to do for Christmas now?" Ethan asked, surprisingly practical. "That's something I thought we could decide together," I suggested. "Our original plans changed, but we can create something new and meaningful." What followed was an impromptu family brainstorming session at the kitchen table. Ideas ranged from Lily's suggestion of building the biggest snowman ever to Ethan's desire for a movie marathon with unlimited popcorn. Marcus surprised us all by saying, "What if we spent part of the day helping others?" The community shelter is serving Christmas dinner to people who don't have homes or families to celebrate with. The children's enthusiasm for this idea touched me deeply. Without prompting, Ethan asked if we could bring our gifts and food to share, while Lily wondered if shelter children might like to play with some of her toys. By 9 o'clock, we had loaded the car with wrapped presents, hastily relabeled, baked goods, and a selection of gently used toys and books the children had thoughtfully selected from their own collections. The disappointment of the previous day transformed into purposeful energy as we drove to the downtown shelter. The community center attached to Riverside Shelter buzzed with activity when we arrived. Volunteers in Santa hats directed us to different stations, Marcus to the maintenance area, where his carpentry skills proved immediately valuable repairing wobbly tables and a broken coat rack, me to the children's craft corner, and the kids to help distribute candy canes and small gifts. What struck me immediately was the warm, genuine atmosphere. Despite circumstances that might justify bitterness, the shelter residents radiated gratitude and generosity of spirit. A woman named Elena, the volunteer coordinator, welcomed us with genuine appreciation rather than the performance of inclusion I'd grown accustomed to from Kimberly's social circle. "We can always use more hands, especially ones willing to jump in wherever needed," she said, squeezing my arm warmly. "Your children are delightful, so natural with everyone." Indeed, Ethan and Lily moved among strangers with open hearts, unaware of socioeconomic divisions that adults so carefully maintained. Lily sat with an elderly woman, patiently showing her how to make paper snowflakes, while Ethan organized an impromptu story time for younger children, reading with impressive expression from books we'd brought. By midday, Marcus had fixed multiple small maintenance issues and was helping a teenage boy construct a simple bookshelf from donated lumber. His patient instruction and genuine interest in the boy's ideas demonstrated what true mentorship looked like. In the craft corner, I found unexpected joy helping children create Christmas cards for family members they rarely saw. My preschool teaching experience proved perfect for engaging kids who carried adult-sized worries behind young eyes. During the community meal, turkey with all traditional fixings served on mismatched plates, we sat with a family recently displaced by fire. Their 7-year-old daughter Zoe and Lily formed an instant friendship, giggling together as if they'd known each other for years. "Your daughter has such an open heart," Zoe's mother Teresa remarked. "Some kids from more comfortable backgrounds can be." She trailed off diplomatically. "Judgmental?" I supplied with a sad smile. "Unfortunately, that's something that gets learned." "Well, you're raising them right," she said simply. "That's worth more than any material advantage." After dinner, I found myself washing dishes alongside a woman named Diana who looked about my mother's age. Her efficient movements suggested restaurant experience similar to my mom's waitressing years. "First time volunteering here?" she asked, handing me another dripping plate.
"Yes."
Our Christmas plans changed unexpectedly. I didn't elaborate. Diana nodded knowingly. "Family complications?" My sister decided we weren't suitable company for her important guests. I admitted, the words still painful to voice.
"Ah."
"The holiday family hierarchy." She scrubbed vigorously at a stubborn pot. "My brother hasn't spoken to me in 12 years because I couldn't afford the appropriate wedding gift for his society marriage. Some people measure everything in dollar values, even relationships." "How do you handle it?" I asked, genuinely curious. "The rejection?" "I grieved what I thought we had, then built connections with people who value me as I am." She gestured around the bustling community room. "Found my real family, blood-related or not. People who judge your worth by your bank account aren't offering love, they're conducting transactions." Her straightforward wisdom resonated deeply. Looking around the room, I saw a genuine human connection flourishing amidst circumstances that many would consider unfortunate. Yet there was more authentic joy in this drafty community center than I'd witnessed at any of Kimberly's carefully orchestrated gatherings. Marcus caught my eye across the room and smiled, his expression conveying understanding of the transformation happening within me. Our Christmas had been derailed by rejection, yet somehow we'd found ourselves exactly where we needed to be. As afternoon faded into evening, we reluctantly prepared to leave. Elena hugged each of us, extracting promises to return. The children collected paper snowflakes, handmade cards, and new friendships as their Christmas treasures. "Can we come back next year too?" Ethan asked as we loaded into the car. "Even if Aunt Kimberly wants us then?" "Absolutely," Marcus answered before I could. "I think we've found a new Christmas tradition." Arriving home, exhausted but fulfilled, we discovered several packages on our doorstep, beautifully wrapped with expensive paper and elaborate bows, distinctly Kimberly style. "Aunt Kimberly's presents," Lily exclaimed. The gift tag, however, revealed a surprise from Maria, Kimberly's housekeeper. "I overheard everything and wanted your children to have these. They deserve joy. Merry Christmas." Inside were thoughtfully selected gifts, art supplies for Ethan matching his interests, a dress-up set for Lily, and gift cards for Marcus and me. The accompanying note explained that Maria had purchased these herself, separate from Kimberly's planned token offerings. "Even in her house, someone saw our worth," I murmured to Marcus later as we prepared for bed. "The right people always will," he replied simply. The week after Christmas brought quiet reflection. While the children played with new toys and Marcus retreated to his workshop, I processed the permanent shift in my relationship with Kimberly. The pain remained, but perspective gained at the shelter offered healing context. One evening, with the children asleep, Marcus and I had a frank discussion about moving forward. I think we need clear boundaries with Kimberly, he suggested. Not cutting her off completely, unless that's what you want, but protecting our family from her judgment. I agree. I've spent years chasing her approval and making excuses for her behavior. I sighed deeply. But she's still my sister, and with mom and dad gone, she's my only blood family left. What would a healthy relationship with her look like? Marcus asked thoughtfully. I considered this seriously. One where our value isn't determined by our income or social status. Where my career choices are respected, not dismissed. Where you and the children are treated with dignity. Over the following days, I drafted, discarded, and redrafted a letter to Kimberly. Not an angry tirade, though that might have felt temporarily satisfying, but an honest explanation of my feelings and hopes for our future relationship. The final version read, Kimberly, I've spent days processing what happened at Christmas. The pain of hearing my family described as low-class and not on your level goes beyond simple hurt feelings. It strikes at the heart of who we are and what we value. Growing up, I admired your drive and ambition. I still do. But somewhere along the way, you began measuring worth solely through financial success and social status. That's a metric that will always leave you hungry for more, never satisfied with what you have or who's beside you. My husband creates beauty with skilled hands. My children attend schools where they learn compassion alongside academics. I nurture young minds during their most formative years. None of these choices make us less valuable human beings deserving of dignity and respect. I'm not writing to sever our relationship. You're my sister, and despite everything, I love you. But going forward, I need certain boundaries respected. My family is a package deal. We are invited together or not at all. Comments about our lifestyle, career choices, or economic status are not welcome. The children will not be exposed to attitudes suggesting they are somehow less than because of who their parents are or what we earn. If you can respect these boundaries, I'd welcome rebuilding our relationship on healthier terms. If not, I understand, but cannot subject my family to further judgment or exclusion. I hope someday you'll visit our modest home with open eyes to see the richness that exists without price tags, handcrafted furniture made with love, children's artwork that tells family stories, meals prepared and shared with laughter. These treasures can't be cataloged in lifestyle magazines, but create a wealth that sustains the soul. With hope for healing. Samantha. I mailed the letter in early January, expecting either a defensive response or no response at all. Instead, 3 months passed without any communication from Kimberly. Spring arrived with new growth in our garden and new developments in our lives. Ethan won a district-wide art contest. Lily started kindergarten readiness classes. Marcus received a commission to create custom furniture for a local restaurant. Life continued, rich with simple joys that required no validation from Kimberly's world. Then, on an ordinary Saturday afternoon in April, a knock at our door revealed Kimberly standing on our porch. Alone, without Richard, dressed in jeans rather than her usual tailored attire, she looked smaller somehow, less intimidating. "Can I come in?" she asked, uncharacteristic uncertainty in her voice. The children were at a neighborhood friend's birthday party, allowing an adult conversation without little ears absorbing potentially difficult topics. "Would you like coffee?" I offered, falling back on hospitality to navigate the awkwardness. "Please," she nodded, following me to the kitchen where she perched tentatively on a stool at our island counter, Marcus's handiwork, crafted from reclaimed barn wood. "This is beautiful," she commented, running her hand over the smooth surface. Richard hired a designer who charged thousands for a similar look in our kitchen renovation. I acknowledged the compliment with a nod, waiting for her to explain her presence. "My life is falling apart," she finally said bluntly. "Richard's having an affair with his paralegal. The merger I've spent 2 years orchestrating collapsed last week. The important people from Christmas haven't returned my calls since their deal closed." "I'm sorry," I said sincerely. Despite everything, her pain brought no satisfaction. "Your letter," She started, then paused to collect herself. It made me realize I've been measuring everything wrong. Building relationships as transactions. Seeing people as assets or liabilities. She looked around our modest kitchen with new eyes. All this time I've been pitying your small life, never seeing how empty mine had become. Kimberly, I began, but she held up her hand. Please let me finish. I'm not good at this. She took a deep breath. I'm sorry, Samantha. Truly sorry for what I said about your family. About Marcus being low class when he creates with his hands while my husband destroys with his lies. About your children being inappropriate when they're growing up with actual values. I was cruel and elitist and absolutely wrong. The apology, while limited and clearly difficult for her, represented more self-reflection than I'd witnessed from Kimberly in years. Thank you for saying that, I replied carefully. It means a lot to hear you acknowledge how hurtful those words were. I don't expect immediate forgiveness, she continued, but I'd like a chance to do better. To actually know my niece and nephew. To see the work Marcus does that you're so proud of. To understand your world instead of judging it. That would require real changes, Kim. Not just words. I know, she nodded soberly. I'm asking for a chance to show you I can change. Starting with respecting the boundaries in your letter. Marcus arrived home then, surprise registering briefly before he extended a polite greeting to Kimberly. When I explained she'd like to join us for dinner and meet the children properly, his questioning look sought confirmation that I was comfortable with this step. Just dinner, I assured him quietly. One step at a time. That evening unfolded with tentative new beginnings. Kimberly listened attentively as Ethan explained his art contest entry, asking genuine questions about his technique. She admired Lily's collection of rocks with appropriate enthusiasm rather than the dismissive tolerance she might have shown previously. Would you like to see my workshop? Marcus offered after dinner, an olive branch of significant proportion given his protectiveness of both his creative space and our family's emotional safety. The evening ended with plans for a casual lunch the following weekend, a small step toward rebuilding what had been broken, without expectations of immediate restoration. As months passed, Kimberly became a more regular presence in our lives. Her divorce proceedings continued, bringing humility that previous success had never fostered. She downsized to a smaller home, volunteered at a women's shelter, and gradually demonstrated that her Christmas rejection had indeed been a painful aberration rather than her true character finally revealed. By the following December, when Christmas planning discussions began, the question of gathering together carried none of the previous year's tension. We're still volunteering at Riverside Christmas morning, I explained. It's become important to the kids. But we could do dinner at our place after? Nothing fancy, just family. I'd like that, Kimberly said simply. And maybe I could join you at the shelter too? If that wouldn't intrude on your tradition. The sight of my corporate executive sister serving mashed potatoes alongside shelter residents, wearing a paper hat and laughing genuinely with Elena, cemented the transformation of our relationship. Later, as we washed dishes side by side in my kitchen, much as I had done with Diana the year before, I recognized the quiet miracle that had emerged from last year's painful rejection. Thank you for not giving up on me, Kimberly said softly, hands deep in soapy water. Family is complicated, I replied, but worth fighting for when both sides are willing to show up authentically. The journey taught me that true class has nothing to do with income brackets or social circles. It's measured in how we treat others, especially those who can offer us nothing in return. It's found in the dignity we afford everyone, regardless of title or status. It's reflected in the values we demonstrate for our children through actions rather than words. Looking back, Kimberly's cruel Christmas rejection became an unexpected gift, one that clarified my own values and strengthened our family's resilience. The painful words, they're low class and not on my level, ultimately revealed whose standards truly mattered. Has someone in your family ever made you feel not good enough during the holidays? How did you handle it? Share your experience in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe for more authentic family stories. And remember, Your worth isn't determined by anyone else's measuring stick. Thank you for spending this time with me today, and may your holidays be filled with people who value you exactly as you are.